Hello viewers, and a warm welcome to the maiden edition of Business Summit. Business Summit brings to you information on business development services, or BDS, and how that can make businesses become more efficient, improve performance and profitability. My name is Eunice Peregrino-Date, the host for the show. With me in the studio today to further explore the subject matter of BDS is Mr. Dunwell, a BDS expert. Mr. Eku, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be on the show.
Our focus today is going to be on the contribution of micro, small and medium enterprises to the economic development of Ghana and how BDS can facilitate this process. But before we go on, we'd like to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we'll explore the matter in detail. Please stay tuned. Well, Mr. Eku, can you please explain to us briefly what BDS is all about?
BDS, as you rightly indicated, is Business Development Services. And it describes all the range of services that business will require in order to make them more efficient, competitive, profitable, and all of that. It is important because most small businesses don't have what it takes to have on board within their workforce people taking charge of key functions of the business: marketing, personnel, financial management, and all of that. And there are a host of services that they cannot on their own have, and therefore these services must be acquired from elsewhere, and that is what Business Development Services.
Great. We'll come back to that subject again. Okay. But before then, we also want to find out the landscape of SMEs in Ghana. Yeah. How are they like, and how can BDS really support them to survive, to improve performance? What is the mix of all that in that context?
Okay. If you look at Ghana as a country, we have key sectors that support our economy. We have the manufacturing sector, we have services, we have agriculture, and we have also the extractive industries and all of that. Wherever you look at this, you find small enterprises operating and making their contribution to the national economy. Everybody agrees that largely, if you look at employment, small enterprises, or the informal sector, as most people describe it, you are talking about the micro enterprises, small enterprises, medium enterprises, employ close to 90% of the workforce.
Within that sector?
Yes, within the small enterprise. If you take the informal sector, all the small businesses that you find around are the ones that are employing the vast majority of our people, close to 90%. And but you also find that sometimes, for lack of data and so on, one is not able to really measure tangibly the contributions that they make. But it's been said that if you look at most small enterprises, their contribution to the Ghana's GDP is under 30%.
Right.
Now, you find this a bit strange, because here we have this sector employing over 90%, and yet contributing so small in terms of GDP and so on. If you go to the bottom of this, you find out that most of these small enterprises are not growing at all. And you find that some of them are less than a year. They've been around because they start and they fold up and they start a new one and so on. So you find most enterprises, most of these small enterprises that we're talking about, are in the early stage of the development. Right. They've just started. And then even those that are around are the survival ones. They are just struggling to keep their heads out of the water. You only find a handful of them that are growth companies that, even though they have the potential to grow, they are not getting there as so it makes it very relevant to bring in services that will help these businesses grow. Because at the end of the day, we want to derive the maximum from all of these entities.
Great. In fact, this show, we really want to showcase the programs, the interventions that are around to support small, micro, and medium enterprises. Because over time, the challenges of these enterprises have been spelled out, have been discussed at various fora, but they still persist. Yeah. So, and we also understand from our research that there's quite a range of services and support out there, both from the angle of government and that of development partners, and also other agencies in support of these businesses. But there seems to be a kind of information asymmetry as a result of people not having that information, at their disposal. So if you can, please, tell us what are some of the programs and activities earmarked for this sector, which are available out there, which people can actually start accessing right after the show.
All right. We have the national body that is targeted at policy formulation and other support for the entire small enterprises sector, and that is the National Board for Small Scale Industry. It's a government entity, but it has the mandate to do so. Now, in addition to that, they have within their setup what they call the business advisory centers, where personnel are available to offer support to small enterprises. You find them in the regions. Now, as I speak, some of them are in some of the districts as well. Okay, so from the government side, you find this. Now, apart from that, you find within the development cooperation environment, like whether USAID or GTZ or DANIDA or any of those entities, they also have private sector oriented programs that are targeted at these same enterprises that we are talking about in various ways, offering support towards non-financial services, which is the BDS that we are talking about, or financial services, financial intermediations, various types of financial intermediation, financial resources and all of that. So there are entities available doing that. Not just these ones, even within some of our educational institutions, you will find out that they have facilities and resources, whether be the polytechnic, be the university research institutions, they have certain resources that are available to these enterprises if the information is made available, right, and it gets to them at the time they need it, and so on and so forth. So there are various resources around that can be tapped.
Well, you talked about financial services, yes, and that's a key thing that each business, yes, keeps complaining about. Okay. Well, this range of services can be at their disposal, but what if they can't afford to buy them? What if they can't afford to actually get people outside, to provide those critical services that they need to support their enterprises? What is the situation? I mean, we know that access to finance is quite difficult or limited. In some cases, we have businesses which are focusing on the sector, but really, real access has been a problem. Now, what support are you providing to the environment, or what is it that you're doing to help the environment to grow to a point where they'll feel less reluctant to provide these, financial services to the sector? I think that is really critical, and I'm sure viewers out there will want to have more information on what is really available, what is being done to support their efforts.
Okay. I was hoping you would not take me in that direction of the financial services, because I agree very much that access to finance is a problem. But I think it's been overplayed in the recent times, because the terrain has changed dramatically from the time that I started working in this sector, when it was near impossible for any small enterprise to walk to some of these banks and make a request for any lending. Now it is changed. What really is happening is that the entities themselves, the business themselves, are not positioning themselves in a way that will make them attractive for the people who lend money to lend them.
Right.
And that is why business development services comes in handy, to prepare them so that they can be attractive to the lending entities that are out there. Yeah.
That's great. But apart from the financial angle, you mentioned different variety of services that the small-scale enterprise or the small business sector will actually need to propel them from where they are to the next level.
Yes.
Now, you also mentioned earlier on about the informality of the operations.
Yes.
And some people tell me, I mean, from talking to some of these small businesses around, it looks as if they are using common sense, so to speak, to run their enterprises. Capacity is weak. Are there any organizations out there that are building the capacity? In fact, recently and throughout the year, actually, you could hear, you know, a lot of conferences and workshops and training, capacity building programs earmarked for the sector. Really, how affordable are these services? And the small business sector always complaining about money. Are they able to support themselves to take advantage of all these programs that are there, tailor-made, to support them build their capacity so they'll have that technical competence to then move their businesses forward?
Okay. I think that the issue here is that if the services that are being offered are seen by the enterprises as relevant to them, then I believe that they will be prepared to commit some fund to accessing that service. So there's a responsibility on the part of those who are offering the service,
right, to
make it relevant. Okay. And then also, because sometimes what happens is that the businesses, like you just mentioned, the businesses may not know that that service is available in the first place. Okay. Then when they know it's available, sometimes they think it's expensive.
Right.
Okay. Or they don't find it useful. And therefore, the approach on the part of the providers of this service must be to find a way of making them sometimes even just taste the service as an entry point.
Right.
And then when they gain the confidence that, oh, this is good. So it has implications for the approach in putting out information about the service and what it does and so on and so forth. But I realized that, yes, there is a difficulty there because we've had in previous times the culture where things were given for free.
Free services.
Free services, yes. And I'll describe it as a sin that was committed by most of the agencies, government agencies and development agencies. But they've learned out of that anything that is put out there for free, people don't put value on it.
You mean the services were provided for free, they partook in those services?
Yes, and
but because they did not pay for it.
Yes, it didn't make any meaningful impact. I don't want to mention names, but I was involved in a program somewhere where at that time, in that area, this was in the 90s, we did a lot of things for free. And but in recent times, I've gone there, I've seen the same businesses. They haven't grown, but the owner is looking good. He has a lot of new apprentices. He's still using apprentices. He hasn't employed,
right,
as in the sense of employment, any person yet. But he's still relishing those old times when we're giving things for free and said, oh, when are you bringing this package again? I thought that by this time, haven't benefited from that as a primer. He will move on and now, but they haven't. So it buttresses the point that we need from the onset to sell the idea to people that this is something that is of benefit to your business, and that if you invest in it, it will help you, it will give you a tangible result. Yes, and that should be it.
Right. You earlier on mentioned about business development services providers and how they have to package the programs and whatever. Now, they themselves sometimes are small businesses.
Yes.
Are they also receiving any support to help them move away from just being small businesses, but with technical capacity to support other enterprises into having more marketable products that then the small business sector can then trust, value, decide to pay money because they can tell from how it is being marketed, from the needs that are being met, to then decide to go out of their way, so to speak, to then, pay for those services. And by so doing, once they pay for the services, they are more likely to then attach more value to it and then to utilize those benefits to their advantage, because we are looking at the extent to which this sector group will then support the economy, because they are recognized as the engine through which employment generation, poverty reduction, and whatnots can be achieved in Ghana. So if this sector itself is so lax, is sort of weak, what are we doing? You've mentioned a range of activities and programs that are at their disposal, but then this program really wants to make it more public, wants to put out more information so as to support the sector to then take advantage of what is out there, but with the caution that, well, services are not for free these days. They are for sale, and for which reason you would also retain some kind of value out of it. So my question mainly is, what support is also out there for the BDS providers so that they can also provide those range of services that are critical to the needs of the SMEs, so that they can also use that to propel their businesses to the next level, and then so we can have that revolving effect on the economy one day sometime.
Okay. There are support services within the, let me say, the development community towards deepening the market of business development services. And this is being done supporting not just the enterprises themselves, but also the business. In fact, the emphasis is more on the business development service providers.
Right.
Okay. They are being supported to come up with new products. They are being supported to refine what they are doing and their methods, and generally their capacity is being supported with some of the interventions that you find in the community. In times past, in recent time, Speed offered a kind of a challenge fund to BDS service providers to access and to come out with any services that they felt would be useful for small enterprises in Ghana.
Right.
And a number of firms accessed this. Some were successful in developing the product or the service and introducing it in the market. Some have not been so successful, but that was expected. I mean, to put anything new in the market takes a lot of time and so on. But at least that I'm aware that has been done. And in those cases, some of those business development service providers were small enterprises by themselves, as you're saying. Some of them were associations, business management, business membership organizations or associations, and then some of them were research institutions that were, and all of that they proved useful. So yes, indeed, there are support services targeting the providers of the services themselves.
Right.
Yes.
Looks as if there's a range of services out there, recently to support the sector.
Yeah.
But are they really benefiting from that? And we talked about free services, adding value to your services and all that. Are they supported in any way? Do they receive any support, actually? Because if some of them can't really afford it, if they can't even survive by hiring people to do specific job activities in their enterprises, are they getting any support anywhere to facilitate the accessing of those services?
These are ways and means that I would imagine that the service providers will use creative approaches to do this. Sometimes you've heard of buy one, get one free, or buy two, get one free, and all of that. There can be creative ways where we talk about embedded services. Now, I'm giving you one service, but within that service is something that you are getting virtually for free.
Right.
And you are getting an introductory something, and then when you like it, maybe you come for more. There are approaches that can be used that will get the prospective small enterprises to tag onto this. But let me say that the service of training has been overplayed as far as the BDS environment is concerned, because as I indicated, How about design? How about packaging?
Right.
How about advertising?
Okay.
How about outsourcing even labor and sharing and coming together and sharing common resources? These are all services that others elsewhere have used it, and it has helped the growth of the small enterprises regime. So we need to broaden that and bring all the players in the field who do something that other businesses need.
Right.
And if you look at it critically, you see that everything that is out there, somebody needs somebody's business.
Okay.
To prop up what they are doing, and this is what we are referring to as the business development services. And as I said, it's been around, except that the tag BDS was not put on it until in recent times. So coming back to what you just indicated, that what is available as support for those who perhaps they don't even know about the service, they haven't heard of it, they know about it, but they think that looking at, they are just surviving, and this is not the time to throw money into something that you are not so sure of, and so on. We need to, and that's why some of the support mechanisms that the Development Corporation and the donor community and other agencies are offering targeted towards getting people to be aware of this, that there are services that can benefit you. Mr.
Eko, I mean, we've been talking extensively about BDS and what support is out there, but from next week onwards, we'll be bringing some of these critical institutions to the show so they can tell us specifically what they are offering. And we've also learned quite a bit about what is happening out there in terms of the support to BDS providers and how small businesses should take advantage of services that enhance their performance, that will improve what you're doing, so that the spill-off effect will be the enhancement of their businesses. It will probably employ more people, supporting the economy, and one day sometime reduce poverty. We'd want to go for a quick commercial break. When we return, we'll take it from there. Please stay tuned. Thank you for staying on. Well, Mr. Eko, we would want to finalize this topic for today, and hopefully I'm going to have you back one of these days again to continue, because it's quite an interesting topic to discuss. But can you, in less than a minute, wrap up this whole thing that we have discussed on the SME and what it can do to support the economy, basically?
Yeah, all I would say is that small businesses are very important for the country, throughout the whole country, but they need to grow. And there are services available in the country that can help them grow and achieve their goals.
Right.
And therefore, that information must be put out there, and people should apply themselves to what is available.
Thank you, Mr. Eko. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Well, all too soon, we've come to the end of the first episode of Business Summit. But before we go, we'd like to acknowledge our supporters and sponsors. This beautiful city you see out there is provided by Mobilia, and my beautiful hair and makeup by Aleo Beauty Palace, and my outfit from True Words. Thank you, and stay with us next week. Bye-bye.